Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. I'm Anthony here hosting. This is our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony Sia. Here at Focus on Liberia, we educate, we elevate, and we promote all things Liberia. I have a guest, somebody I know. He's an educator, and now he is a public servant. We are here to talk about the Monrovia Consolidated School System. I am a product of that school system, so I'm connected to it. I have some feelings about it, and I know somebody who is in charge. What is going on there? He's here to tell us. He just got appointed and he took over as head of the Monrovia Consolidated School System. My guest in today's edition of our program is Professor Isaac Zawolo. Prof, as we will always say in Liberia, welcome. It's good to have you, sir.
Mrs. Sia, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
All right. It's always good to see you joining us here at Focus on Liberia, except that today you are in your capacity as Superintendent of the Monrovia Consolidated School System. A system that has been around for quite a long time. Well, you got appointed recently. How you doing so far?
I will let my work speak for me.
Okay.
But I think if you engage the employees of the MCSS, the students, I think we have had a smooth landing.
Okay. Thank you so very much. During your taking over ceremony, I had the opportunity to watch it, and I'm going to play a little clip of it. There's something in there that touched me that I want you to speak to. That one.
The person I call my Dingo Princess, my wife, Hawa Sion Zawolo, for love, for kindness, for beauty, and carries me going every day. For heart, I'm going to be the superintendent, but tell you a lot of decisions might be coming from her. Because she chooses almost everything I do. She chooses the color of the paint on the wall in my office. She tells me when my clothes doesn't look good on me. She tells me when I strip my hair too, upwardly. And she has all these opinions about me. And she's one of the person who criticizes me more than any other person. So I want to thank her. She's not here. I want her to be on the screen to watch this. That's really happy. Then I want to thank my friend. I want to thank my brother, the President, His Excellency, Dr. George Manawia, whose faith, trust, belief in me have made this day possible. I want to say thanks to him. I want to say thanks to my other friends within government, including the Honorable Samuel D. Jr., the Honorable Nathaniel McGill, the Honorable Piso Sekita, the Honorable Jefferson Koji. I want to say thanks to my friend and brother, Honorable Jaga Powell, and the Comptroller and Attorney General of Liberia. I want to express my thanks and appreciation to Honorable Morgan Molu Jr., our dynamic chairman of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I want to thank the young men and women of the mighty Coalition for Democratic Change who have stood by my side from day one. We were in the trenches fighting for a CDC-led government. At a time when people were overlooking them, we stood by them. And when the time came in, we always told Professor Zawolo. I still remember I got a message here and said, Professor Zawolo, there's not a single day that we in this government hope without thinking about what role we play in it. And so today, that day is here. I thank them for all of that. And I want to thank one person who made this possible. I want to thank two persons who made this possible. Those two persons began the relationship with the MCSS schools. I don't think at that time was an MCSS, but they began the relationship in Basel Teenage. That relationship conceived me. My mom and dad, who met at Basel Teenage School, fell in love. Poor people came to Monrovia, living with people, struggling, fell in love, and was able to, that relationship gave birth to me. Over the years, my mom has been the source of my strength. She has been the one who has caused me to continue to persevere and push myself in education. My mom had to drop school because she gave birth to me, she gave birth to my sister, and she had to stay home to take care of us. I love her. I love her. I appreciate her.
Prof. Zawolo, there you was giving a statement there to your staff and those that came to the program. You got a little emotional there when you were talking about your mom. I love her. I love her. And I noticed you like tried to bat your lid. I mean, and you were talking about education. She has to sacrifice that. No, I will stay and let my son go. That was moving. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing back that story.
Mhm.
My mom's story is a story of many Liberian mothers, even to today's day. There are many students within the MCSS whose moms have to sacrifice their own education to educate them. My mom did it several years ago, and there are many people who are doing it today. And I'm proud of those mothers. I know you told me to be short. That's
Mhm.
why, as a superintendent, I continue to stress to everybody that our students come in different forms, shapes, and we must be able to cater to all of them. There are students who come from homes that are well, organized. Mom and dad are present. There are some of our students who come from homes where there's only a mom, where there's only a dad. There are some students who come from homes where they fetch for themselves. And so we have to be able to reach all of these students from where they come and to provide them with the kind of wraparound services that they need to be successful. And so, because of my own experience, I think it positions me to really understand the plight of all students of MCSS. And I've been engaged in that from day one, and I will continue to do that.
Thank you so very much. So you took over very recently, so to speak. You were here in the US, you've been teaching here. From the time I got to know you, teaching has been your life. Even before coming to the US, I heard that you were teaching in Liberia also. And you've been going back and forth teaching. You have your own schools, then you go there to train your teachers and all that. But coming into this position had to be somehow different. So my question is, what was the wow movement and to say then movement for you after taking over and assessing the entire school system?
Look, let me begin by saying that I'm blessed to be
Mhm.
the superintendent of MCSS
Mhm.
because I have a very competent staff. I
Mhm.
have hardworking teachers. I have students who are very much interested in their own learning.
Mhm.
And to have all of those three in your favor, I think is amazing. And so I'm blessed. But like any situation, any system, any organization, any institutions,
Mhm.
even with all of the positives, there are some of those rough edges, some of those tough corners that you must engage and be able to accept and find solutions to be able to smooth them. So the MCSS is no different. There are challenges all across the board. We have structural challenges, we have instructional challenges, we have we have challenges when it comes to even the physical, the emotional, and all of those challenges. And I tell you, what has touched me the most is perhaps might be the state of disrepair of our facilities. I've indicated to families and parents and community people here that I want MCSS schools to have the facilities that can be good enough for me to send my granddaughters to. And I see that that's a tall order. There's a lot for me to do to improve the facilities to the state that I can be very comfortable to sending my granddaughter, to be very honest. So that's one of the biggest that has been the biggest aha moment for me. And so I'm engaged in it. And I want to be brief, so I'll give you a chance to ask another question, but I could expand on what I'm doing immediately to address those issues.
Yeah, and we will get to that. Let's start with the history of MCSS. I know those who live in Morovia are familiar with this school. Uh, my research tells me somewhere around December 24, 1964, it was
Yeah.
created by an act of national legislature. Talk to me and talking about that act, right? What it says here was that to ensure efficient and proper conduct of schools in Monrovia. Will you say the system has been able to live to this efficiency?
Yeah, I would say so. The MCSS, and by the way, I will pause to observe a moment of silence
Mhm,
in honor of one of our fallen leaders of the MCSS, one of the first leaders of the MCSS,
mhm,
Professor, teacher, pastor Matuba Israel Harding, who passed away a couple of weeks ago.
mhm,
We've been blessed to have great leaders, uh, Pastor Harding, uh, Pudu Manston, and many others who've led the MCSS and made some very positive strides in terms of providing quality education. You are a product of MCSS. You know for a very long time, Tottenham High was one of the best schools in Liberia. And many
right.
graduates of Tottenham High, D12, the Charlotte Togo, or the Moravia Central High have all gone on to play very important roles in both Liberia and internationally. So our
Mhm,
schools have lived up to the purpose for which they were organized. I must confess that of late, due to both objective and subjective circumstances, our schools are challenged, and our ability to meet up with the purpose for which we were created
mhm.
has been seriously hampered. But that's why I came, and that's why I'm here, and that's why this government is investing huge amount of resources so that we can address the ills and restore the years the locals have eaten and make MCSS the institution, the school district that it was destined to be.
So I want you to touch on the history a little bit. What was the idea? Where did that come from? And why or is it important?
Well, it came from the fact that the United States always have a big, huge influence on Liberia. So
Mhm,
in the United States, schools operate on a school district basis. So
mhm,
when we developed the Public Instruction Act in Liberia, public instruction was controlled by the Department of Public Instruction. So the Department of Public
mhm,
Instruction ran all schools in the country. And so our friends, our development partners in the United States Agencies for Development, engaging the Liberian Public Instruction Authority, that's how the Ministry of Education was then called, said, well, we have a model in the United States, and we're interested in seeing whether this model can work in Liberia. So what's the model? This model is where we build schools on the basis of districts, county districts, city districts, and the rest of it. The Liberian government said, well, let's test this thing. And what was the best place to test it at that time? Monrovia, the Commonwealth of Monrovia. So the United States Agency for International Development, the Liberian government got together and said, we're going to put this model to a test. They hired the San Francisco State College, which is now San Francisco State University, to
mhm.
lead the process in doing this. So, they began to discuss, and the MCSs were established. The original leaders did not come from here, but they were Liberians who were seconded, and then they began to operate. And then within about, I think, like 2 or 3 years, they were transferred to Liberian leadership, and then they began to fester and grow.
And that has been since the 60s.
Yeah.
Why has the idea not been replicated in other counties? What is the
I'm the
hold on? If
superintendent.
this have been good for Monserrato County, why has it not been taken to other counties?
I'm the superintendent for Moreover Consolidated School System.
Mhm,
And I can only answer that. We are doing it like Monrovia, and we are successful at doing it. I think most people in Liberia knows that MCSS schools are one of the best. It's one of the best managed, best operated, best run schools in the whole country. Are one of the best run schools in the country. So that's all I can say. I don't know why have they not replicated it across the country. I know former Education Minister Otello Gungat resuscitated this whole process where he tried to have school boards in the different counties, but then it did
mhm.
not go beyond that. But I also want to tell you there are numerous challenges. Once you get outside of Monrovia or the urban areas, there are so many challenges when it comes to implementing some of these ideas. But I believe that I think the Ministry of Education should begin to look at actually replicating this effort outside of Monrovia.
I know, Elliot, you said that the MCSS school system is one of the best and, has been producing, the best. Somebody may argue that that was then when Todman High was Todman High. When
Yeah.
D12, now D12, I mean, was Todman High, right? At the time, now it's D12. But nowadays, not anymore. Can you
Yeah, but
say that the system is still producing the best graduates or students in Liberia today?
yeah, the system is still producing some of the best students in Liberia today. But let's be fair. There's almost not a single Liberian schools of the past that still can, boast of their past history. Our education system, is going through a serious transition. There's a lot of opportunities for change, and that's what we are doing. We are trying to address, we're trying to face some of those opportunities and make use of them. So it's not just the MCSS. Our whole education system, as a result of the civil war and a lack of investment into it over the years, has created, a lot of opportunity that we must be able to engage and make
Are you
best.
are you saying that quality has diminished if you compare the yesteryears with today?
Well, the former president of Liberia, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, said our Liberian education system is a mess. Several years ago, all Liberian students who sat the University of Liberia entrance and placement exam did not pass the entrance and placement exam. Also, I think several years ago, I think less than 16% of Liberian students passed the West African Examination Council exam. So, yes, quality has declined. But I'll tell you one thing, at MCSS, we are making strides. I just reviewed and submitted to my money M&E people
Mhm,
a report from WIEC
mhm.
of the past administration of WIEC. I tell you, for example, at one of my schools, we had 100% passing rate in economics, the subject economics. And at the
Okay.
Pipeline Junior Senior High School, we had a passing rate of above 75% in almost every subject. So we're turning the corner. We're making a progress. And now we are actually putting some things into play that will see that more results will come up. One of the things we did here so far is that we get the results. We're not using the results like what it was used for before to identify students who will participate in the commencement exercises and the ones who will not participate in the commencement exercises. I'm looking at the whole education thing to be a two-way thing. It's
Mhm.
teaching and learning. So we are looking at the learners and we are also looking at the teacher. So we are taking the data and now
All
we
right.
are developing specific responses to the
Mhm.
results we have. So we are planning workshops, we are planning training, we are developing manuals, we are developing instructional materials so as to be able to improve the performance of our students, not just on the WAS exam, but generally on any test or in the general disposition, the conversation, the writing, and any of those things.
Professor Zawolo, usually, as you well know, when one takes over as head of an institution, you have to do an accurate assessment.
Yeah.
And you know, very well know that is key in your success. Have
Mhm.
you done an accurate assessment that informs you where the school is so that you can know where best to go? If that is yes, what did you discover?
Okay, so I'll tell you one thing. I've set a 120 days agenda. The
Mhm,
120 days agenda is portioned into two 60 days period. Under the first 60 days period is
mhm,
assessment and understanding of the system. Uh, then the 60 days, after the first 60 days will be implementing lessons, implementing from the lessons learned.
mhm,
So right now we are in the observational stage.
mhm.
Yes, one of the things that we are doing, one of the things we observe a lot. So, and we are not waiting for the next 60 days to address some of the pressing problems that we noticed from the first 60 days. We are addressing some of them. I came to the MCSS with a 5 point agenda, 5 point initiative. My 5 point initiative talks about academic excellence. It talks about safe, secure, enticing school environment. It talks about organization efficiency. It talks about teacher welfare, and it talks about corporate community partnerships. So I have been looking at the system and identifying the challenges associated with each one of my 5 initiatives. And so, one, for example, the school corporate community partnership. The MCSS is now reaching out. We can tell you publicly that the Lone Star has gradually become a partner of the MCSS. So the Lone Star is beginning to play more important role than MCSS. We are reaching out to other, business organizations like We just today, within the last 2 days, we reached up to ArcelorMittal. We reached up to the Maritime. We reached up to Local. And just today, I kind of reached up to Petro Trade. So we are broadening our relationship with businesses in the country because we cannot depend on government for everything. And then I had a meeting with one of my principals today, and she shared with me something, and I told her, "You giving me a story of what I want you to do." She's engaging the people in her community to buy buckets of paint, to bring clothing for the students, to help bring black bowls to the school, to bring chairs to the school. So that's one of the things. So our assessment has revealed that our facilities are not in the best shape. And so we are already starting to address it. We're not waiting for the 60 days to be over to address it. Additionally, I spoke at a USAID CDC sponsor program wherein 60 brave students from the Newport Junior High School put up their arms to be vaccinated with the Pfizer COVID 19 vaccination. And I indicated to our partners that while our students are brave enough to put up their arms to create a safe world, not just in Liberia, because a vaccinated person in Liberia can help to create a safe world even far beyond the borders of Liberia. I see, as our students are brave to put up their arms for vaccination, I call on our development partners to be brave enough to look at the facility that was standing at that time and knowing that they could not use the restroom there, that because we're not decent enough to think about how they can help us to
And,
improve
and
our
Prof, that's what I was about to come to, Professor
yeah.
Zawolo. You said the schools are not in the best of shape, if I
Yeah.
can paraphrase you. And if you say that,
Mhm.
it does not really give the picture that everybody needs to know, see, and hear.
Mhm.
So I want you to paint the picture for me. This is important because if you know
Okay.
how bad things are, and if everybody know,
Yeah.
then when you say, look, I want this, they'll say, yes, there's a need for that because we know how bad things are. How bad are things when you look at the facilities, the schools, toilets, black chalkboards, and all that? How bad are they, the schools?
But before I talk about how bad are schools, I'd like
Mhm.
to commend the government of Liberia for the assistance they have provided me since I came over here. The government of Liberia has expended a huge amount of money. At the moment, we have 4 projects, big projects taking place. Like I indicated to you, one of my initiatives is safe, secure school environments. We have schools in communities where problems with motorbikes, pen riders, and the rest of them passing through the school grounds while students were in school was posing a serious risk for our students. The government of Liberia embraced my initiative to immediately launch the fencing or the renovation or the completion of fencings at 4 of our schools. At Tottenham High, we are completing a back fence that was destroyed almost 20 years ago. At the A. Glenn Tubman School down 12th Street, where our teachers and principals and students have been facing serious challenges from the people within the community. We are almost at the completion stage of fencing our entire property. At the Boston Junior High School, we are also we are also repairing a broken fence. And at GW Gibson, we are extending the fence higher. Additionally, we are in the process of completing a science laboratory to a first-class science laboratory at the D12 High School. We are also engaging our partners to replicate similar facilities at Tottenham High, GW Gibson, and the Prepland Junior and Senior High School. So I will talk about some of the things that government is doing. Government has also provided resources for us to distribute instructional materials to all of our schools. So we are grateful to the government of Liberia for that. But you got to understand, these schools have been in disrepair for over 20 years. So when I talk about disrepairs, I talk about deplorable laboratory facilities. I talk about the absence of laboratory facilities on some campuses. I talk about lack of electricity on some campuses. I talk about the lack of pipe-borne drinking water at some of those facilities. I talk about broken staircases. I talk about dilapidated floors. I'm talking about uh, filing cabinets that are in a very poor state.
Leaking
So
roofs.
leaking roofs. I'm talking about some classrooms that I must say almost inhabitable. I'm talking about schools that are
Bar,
that
bar bathrooms or some
I
not
already
in the
talked about
system at all.
laboratories. I'm talking about schools where the building is not secure. At D12 High School, you may note that there was recently a stampede over there. But during the school day, motorbikes are just passing through the schoolyard. I visited it and I witnessed it while I was there to visit the students. Bikers were coming through the schoolyard while the students were in devotion. That posed a serious risk to the students. The community, there's a theft over there. We need to fence that entire property. So that's just one of the things that we need to do. So those are some of the challenges we have. And then we're looking at expansion.
Before we get to expansion, Professor, before we get to expansion, you talk about, you listed all that's been done. And you also articulated how bad things are. Let us help us identify why things are this bad. Is it because of funding? Is it because of management, or both? What is responsible for how things bad, happen bad?
I think the MCSS has been well run. I think we have had some very decent leaders of MCSS. I think our principals are doing a fabulous job at their schools.
How fabulous job they're doing, Professor, when these schools are in this bad shape. So tell me, what is responsible for the schools being this bad? I haven't been to the school, so
I think
connection to this.
I think having problems and working hard are not mutually exclusive concepts.
Okay.
You can work hard and still have problems. So to suggest that if the principal are fabulous, then we should not have problems, I think is not fair. So
are you excusing poor management for the way these facilities are looking?
I'm not excusing poor management. I'm highlighting the hard work of dedicated librarians, people who work more than 8 hours every day to make sure that they do the best job they can possibly do at our schools. And that's the kind of principals I have. Those are the kind of teachers I have at the MCSS, and I'm very proud to be their leader. But let me say this to you. Our government is saddled with tons of problems, competing priorities and competing interests. This government, I will speak for, has done tremendously well to engage and address some of those problems. You may note that was this government, sensing that too many Liberian students were failing the WISE exam, that initiated a program to provide tutorials for students. And since that happened, the performance on WISE has gone up. I also indicated to you immediately upon my arrival, the government of Liberia invested huge amount of money to address some of these problems that I identified. Besides, the government of Liberia
how much is that huge amount? Any figure? Can you give me a figure?
I won't want to do that. I won't want to do that. Yeah, but it was a huge amount. It was a major sacrifice on behalf of the government, because the government was doing it at a time when they had to meet salary needs for people. But then the government said, look, the future of our children is extremely important as the present of our civil servants. So the government was able to pay civil servant salary on time for December, at the same time provide funding for us to do that. And we are grateful to them. But not only so, the government of Liberia is recommitting additional resources to be able to address those problems, the remaining problems. We are in the process of completing a computer lab here at the central office.
And Professor, hold on, let me hold you there. Let's use Todman High. Your office is Rabbi. I know that.
Yeah.
You visited that school, I would think so. Just as you visited D12. Are you satisfied with the way Tomo High is looking right now? The last time I saw pictures from them, I have a video from that right now. It's very bad.
I will never be satisfied with how any MCSS school look until we can get it to an international standard. And if you have 30, 40 years of disrepair, you don't fix those problems in a couple of days or a couple of years. But I can assure you one thing. With the president that I work for, that come a year or two, I will ask you to come and visit Tottenham High, and you will see the transformation of the unfolding there. I tell people right now, come and visit some of our schools. Go and visit the Glen Tottenham School, and you can see that you will feel as Red Van Winkle felt when he came up from his sleep after 100 years. It would be like, wow, night and day. We've changed those things. You go to Rebecca Jane Wilson Elementary School, where the ECD program is. At the moment, we are resurfacing the floor to make it decent enough for our kids to be able to put their hands on the floor and play, because that's what young kids do in the ECD. We are fixing all of our ECD programs to have decent floors, decent facilities, well-painted lit walls, and all of the quality that they need to be able to compare with other ECD programs internationally. So we're getting there. and Tottenham High will rise up again. The Cardinals will be proud of today's Cardinals, and you will be one of those people who will come around and tell me, Professor Zawolo, we've seen
Professor
this transformation.
Zawolo,
So we are getting to the.
I'm not cutting you off. I would like to come and see Thomond High to be like a school. Let's show this video a little bit. It won't be long.
Well, this is the historical William V.S. Totman High School, and this school is regarded as the government's #1 high school in the Republic. But as we speak, the William V.S. Totman High.
Prof, we'll stop there because of time. You looking at it? Is it still looking like that right now?
It's getting better. There's an RIS grant presently that is helping to.
What you think would be a better fix to this? To just wipe the thing out and build a new one, or just build that one?
If you don't have the money to, look, first of all, right now we need more schools. If we have money, we invest it in adding additional schools. So what I think we're going to do is to. By the way, thank you very much for bringing that. I have just asked the civil service to give me infrastructure consultant that will take do a forensic examination of all of our facilities and present to me what it will require to bring all of our facilities to the state that we can be proud of. So that person is going to work. We're going to have a 2-year assignment, but I will expect the president to submit the first preliminary report within 6 months, and so that I can immediately begin to engage some of the problems. So we are not joking. We are serious about making Tottenham High building to either be to the pre-war state or even better. And so we know all of those problems and we are addressing them. That's why we are bringing the professionals in to help us identify all of the bigger problems. I visited Monrovia Demonstration School. Thanks to the Honorable Ambassador Nora Finabondo, she re-roofed a whole section of Monrovia Demonstration School. But the building is huge. And the building was, they have been joining other buildings and stuff like that. So as soon as she re-roofs this side, the little space between there began to see leakage, and the whole roof on the other side is damaged. We will be taking that roof down and going to be repairing the entire building. So we're going to restore these schools to what they used to be, or even make them even better. It requires time. And the good thing is that this government is committed and is investing the resources to it. And I think we should commend the government for doing that.
Thank you, folks in cyberspace. You are watching Focus on Liberia. I'm in conversation with Professor Zawolo. He is the superintendent of the Monrovia Consolidated School System based in Monrovia, Liberia. Professor, I know we have an agreement here. The schools are in this bad shape. 2 major reasons among many: management, funding. Funding has been key. So let's talk about funding a little bit. You said the government is spending huge amount of money, but you won't give me the figure. So let's talk some numbers. Let's look at the 2022 budget. So here is the 2022 budget. MCSS laboratory consumables, $0. $0. So this is our government that will tell us it is taking education as a priority. We're talking about science here. You are a science guy.
What are you talking about? You're talking about the proposed budget.
I heard you say earlier that this budget has passed. It has passed.
No way.
Yes.
Well, no.
It's no longer a proposed budget. It passed.
That was proposed. That was proposed. I can tell you for sure.
That number is the proposed number.
Already allocated more than $10,000 on fixing one lab. So that's not real.
Okay.
We already allocated more than $10,000 on fixing one lab.
And you think more than 10,000 still put it at 50? Is that enough?
But I said we're
already the school system.
No, listen to me. First of all, listen, Mr. Sear. Look, let me tell you something. How much do you? There are labs already in MCSS schools. All of our high schools, except for the pipeline, junior and senior high schools, have laboratories. Right. There are laboratories, equipments in it. So what we need to do is refurbish some of them. We are committing to around about 25 to 30,000 each one of those laboratories or each one of those schools. And when we do so, we've talked to the experts, people who are in the business of designing lab internationally, not just in Liberia. and they have given us the figure necessary to be able to upgrade our lab to standards that we find in Ghana, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, and the Gambia. And those numbers will tell you that the lab in the United, making the lab in Liberia will not cost the same way as making a lab in the United States. So let's dismiss that. But the money we are putting into it is what. So the government of Liberia is not spending $0 for that. Now you got to understand also, MCSS have other sources of fundings to be able to address some of those problems.
And you think what government is committing to fund MCSS is enough to take MCSS to the level you would like to see MCSS?
Guess what I would say. Guess what I would say. Guess what I would say. I would say this to you. When I was provided with the draft budget, I made a request for additional funding in the tune of $1 million.
Okay.
That $1 million for my additional $1 million for my first year operation. I can assure you that we'll get the $1 million. And that $1 million will be very assistive in helping us address some of the pressing needs of the system. Once we get beyond the first year, year two, I'm going to be pushing for the MCSS budget to be pushed all the way to $10 million so that we can be able to address other things. But here's the reason why we're doing so. We intend to open additional schools. Like I said, we intend to make all of our schools to meet international standards. So we'll be requesting that. And with the government that I work for, with the president that I work for, I'm very positive I'll be able to get the funding necessary to take MCSS to the next level. But don't let anybody tell you, look, I heard some people say, oh, there was one of my friends who posted in one of the groups that I'm in, $2,000 for internet. Oh, Zawolo is not going to succeed. I'll tell you something. Even at the central office, we spend more than $2,000 on internet. So those are proposed. When you have somebody of my caliber coming in to lead, I will request for those things necessary.
So what are the actuals?
What are the actuals? Far above what you see over there. Far above it. Like I said to you, I, for example, asked for additional $1 million, $1 million plus dollars, and I'm sure I'm going to get it. And so it's not going to be $2,000 on internet. We're in the process of completing a computer lab at central office, equipped with laptops, projectors, and everything. Well air conditioned, and $2,000 will not run that. But here's the thing: we are the MCSS are also smart. We understand and realize that government will not be the panacea to all of our problems. I told you about our corporate community school partnership. We are up there appealing to. We have a program with Lone Star. Orange at one point was in our schools. And we have these kind of innovative things that we are doing to help us get all of those network needs met. So our schools, not spending $2,000 on internet and the rest of it. No, we spend far more than that, and we have it.
So
I'm at the central office right now. I'm at the central office right now. I'm using the system's internet, and it's running.
And so far it's holding. I'm happy to see that because our experience with people joining us from Liberia. So let me show you this. Okay,
that's fine. I'll take with the but let me tell you, Jared, make sure you tell the people over there to keep the generator on because if it goes off, my man will tell you this is what I told you.
So, Professor Zawolo, when the budget was drafted, right, and these numbers that I'm showing you, that was the proposed version of the 2022 budget. So for workshop, they had $2,000 for 2022 and about $990 for 2023. And then for internet, which the person talked about, I've talked about that a lot on this platform, because I'm advocating for MCSS. Internet allocation was $2,000 for 2022, and then they drop it down to $995 for 2023. And then I showed this one earlier, laboratory consumable, $0. And then they had for maintenance and repair in the proposed $32,000. So when I saw that, I was furious about how can 12, for example, who was a student in this system, do this thing to the system? So my question here is, you've seen the proposed. Did you do anything to increase the numbers? I mean, personally, as head of the MCSS.
Yeah. We did something to increase all. We did something to increase all those numbers. In addition to that, we also requested for additional funding. We requested additional funding for foreign travels, so that we can travel to present the message out there to our development partners to be able to assist us. We also requested additional fundings for grants so that we can be able to write more grants and get people to assist us. We
Mhm.
have requested for additional funding for vehicles so as to be able to improve supervision. There was additional fundings to be able to elevate our teaching staff, to bring in more better qualified and well equipped. I'm not
Mhm.
hiring any more non-college graduates to teach in the MCSS schools. So we requested all of these additional funding to the tune of 1.2, 1 point something million dollars. And I can show you that we're going to get those fundings.
Let's talk about educational materials,
Mhm.
both for teachers and for students. You are a teacher, so and it's good that you have seen schools for what they are in the Western world and in Liberia. So you are the right guy here. Talk to me. In you were talking about computer labs. What are the things? What are the instructional materials? What are the facilities? What are the supplies you think your teachers need that they don't have right now? Your students need that they don't have right now, and what are you doing to get those things?
Yeah, first of all, look, I'll tell you one thing. I don't like to see the blackboards in our school. I want
Okay.
to replace all of them with white marker boards.
Mm.
Some of the blackboards in our schools have been so overused that they have become whiteboards, and the
Mm.
student cannot see the inscriptions on it. And I'm telling my principals and the rest of it, we all got to work together to change those things. And some of my principals have been very innovative, bringing out ideas to, like one of my principals here today, she told me she had a ninth grade class having whiteboard in it. And so she gradually is going to go all the way down to make sure that, all of our classes have whiteboards. And we at the central office will also be looking for the resources to be able to get those things to it. I don't like the level of technology at our schools. I want
Mm.
us to increase the number of laptop computers, the number of desktop computers. I want more projectors in the schools. I want every teacher in the school to be equipped and able to use technology and to be able to put that into use in the instruction. Um, I I would love to see our students capacitated to do research online. So I want to see electricity being in our schools, all of our schools, and I would love to see the network connectivity, equitably distributed all around our schools. And so I would love. Those are some of the basic things I would love to see. We are being innovative. We with some like last week, one of my schools I visited there, and it was a room with excess chairs. The next day I visited another school, they needed chairs. So guess what? I called the other school to move chairs over there. So we are finding in-house solutions to some of those problems while we try to get those things. But those are all the things. I want to see every teacher has the curriculum in their hand. All right. I want to see every teacher with a lesson plan book and a rule book to take grades. But gradually, we want to move from these paper and pencil lesson planning and grade book to a digital format. Right now, I have somebody who's going to pilot a digital grading system with two schools. The person just left from here a few minutes ago. They'll begin to pilot it. So the parents will be able to see the students' grades online. And the teachers will be able to put in the grades online also. So those are
All
some
right.
of the things we would love to see in our schools.
So when we're talking about educational materials, let's talk technology a little bit. The emphasis here
Mhm.
being, on computer and internet. And I know there's this Liberian guy called Dr. P. Vruler who built the Liberia e-library. It's online. You
Yeah.
can get just about anything. And that will not be
Mm.
useful to you, your students, and your teachers when there are no computers with internet. Do you have any plan to ensure that students of MCSF have access to computers and internet in every school?
At Tottenham High, we have about 50 desktop computers. Not sufficient,
Okay,
but that's a start.
okay,
I've just instructed my IT people to take all necessary actions to ensure that at GW Gibson, we have similar number of computers within the next 2 months. We have some challenges when it comes to security at the D12 High School.
mhm,
So as soon as I can address the security issues there, D12 will be beneficial of also 50 desktop computers. Once we are done with the high schools, we'll be getting down to the junior high schools. I am a strong believer in technology, and I will ensure that each MCSS school has the technology that any other school in Africa will have, and so that our school children will not be left behind. So we are taking those steps. It's look here, it's right on my desk right there. What was it? I was just reviewing. Yeah, I had the technology people. I had the technology people. If you were to see, I don't know, it's not too clear, but if you were to see this thing on the screen, it's I had the technology people come in with a proposal on
Okay.
how we address those problems. So I am doing. I'm not trying to make myself look good or keep a job. By the way, when some people, I'm listening to some of the comments, Mrs. Zawolo doesn't need a job in Liberia to survive. Mrs. Zawolo is rendering a service to his people here in Liberia. And that's what I would do. I would render my service to my people, and I would make sure that our kids have the exposure to technology that is necessary to make them competitive in the world.
So when we were talking about the history of MCSS, you talked about how it started here from the US and that it was in partnership with one of the institutions here in the US. Is that something you're going to go back to? Is it even in place? How do you ensure that MCSS benefit? And are you looking at other opportunities for partnership in Liberia to make MCSS great?
Of course, we are trying to rekindle the relationship with the San Francisco State University. We are
Mhm.
pursuing that relationship from two fronts. One, we are trying to engage the United States Agency for Development office here in Monrovia. I've
Mhm.
made preliminary and initial contact with the education director for
Mhm.
USAID in Liberia, and we should be speaking on Saturday. Additionally, I've appointed an MCSS ambassador, Google ambassador, to within the Californian area. Dr. Tue Man, a Liberian scholar, a Liberian educator within the Californian area, has been authorized to represent us and make representation to the San Francisco State University. So we are actually working on this relationship. More so, the Arlington Public Schools that I served until I was appointed
Mhm.
has also begun to engage us with the hope of establishing a sister district relationship. So that is in the works. In June, in June of 2022, this year, at least one teacher will be leaving from Arlington Public Schools in America to come to launch a computer science program here for Liberian students from all across our four high schools here, and they will be spending all the money. MCSA will not be spending a penny. So we are building relationships with other institutions and other organizations outside Liberia. I intend to shortly get the support of government to visit Finland and possibly South Korea and Singapore. They have they are doing something there that I want to see, and to also get them involved with helping me to take MCSS to the next level.
Does MCSS have a website, Professor?
Yes, the MCSS WhatsApp was launched under my leadership. So the MCSS Liberia, www.mcssliberia.org is a
Mhm.
website that has been developed. It's already up and running, and we continually work to update the website. We also are present since I took over. We became present and very vibrant on social media. We have the MCSS Facebook page. We have the MCSS Twitter account, and
Mhm.
yeah, we have all of those things running and very active and running. Instagram, I think we have that also. So we have all of those things running. I believe in technology and I believe in social media.
Thank you. Let's talk about the Parents and Teacher Association a little bit. In 2021, the former superintendent of the Monrovia Consolidated School System, Adolfo Benjamin Jacob, alleged that Finance Minister Samuel Ditwe does not support the Monrovia Consolidated School System. He said that MCS said, was relying on the Parent Teacher Association to support the day-to-day affairs of the school. My question is, how helpful has the MCSF PTA been to the operation, and what are they doing to strengthen the network?
Well, MCSS PT are very proud to be working along with the MCSS PT Association. The
Mhm.
MTSS PTA has been very supportive, very assistive to the MCSS, and we will continue to work with the MCSS PTA Association. We're not relying on the MCSS PTA Association to run the MCSS. The responsibility to run the MCSS is the prerogative of the government of Liberia, and through it, the leadership of MCSS, of which I'm the head, and we will run the MCSS schools. But we appreciate the good work of the MCSS Association. Now, the relationship with the MCSS Parent Association aligns with my second initiative, School Community Corporate relationship. And so we cherish that relationship.
Let's talk teachers a little bit. Let's talk about certification. I know earlier you said you're not going to hire quads. That's my word. And you will hire
You are breaking. I
qualified.
didn't have. I didn't hear that.
No, I said let's talk about teachers or qualification or certification or credentials a little bit. And you said something earlier that you will not hire quad. I just using a paraphrase word there. So
I'm not going to hire anybody who doesn't have a degree.
mhm, that's why you said you will not hire
Yeah.
somebody who
I'm not
does
going to
not
hire
have a degree.
anybody.
So talk to me
Yeah.
about
We're not going to hire anybody who
qualification.
doesn't have a degree.
Yeah, talk to me about qualification levels for the different levels of the MCSS school system, elementary, junior high, senior high. What a qualification you're looking at. What type of certification are you requiring for those levels to teach?
Well, here's what I think. I think
Mm.
the minimum requirement to teach in an MCSS school should be a Bachelor of Science, bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So I'm putting into place a 5-year plan to upgrade every teacher within the MCSS to at least have a bachelor's degree or will
Mm.
grandfather them into the system.
Okay.
I've indicated to the teachers that I will find some small amount. It's not too big for you guys in America, but I will allocate $10,000 annually to be used for scholarships to teachers, for teachers to be able to upgrade themselves, to move those who are at the high school level or BAC certificate and AA degree to take
Mhm.
themselves one level higher. Those who are the AA to, so I'll be allocating resources. But when we look for teachers nowadays, we
Mhm.
wouldn't be recruiting those that have bachelor's degree to teach in our classroom. The government of Liberia has different requirements. We were organized to lead the to lead in the operation of a school district across the country, to be a paragon for school
Mhm.
districts across the country. So we are setting our bar a little higher than other people. So the minimum requirement to teach in MCSS school would be for me a bachelor's degree. I'm not going to hire anybody below that.
Vocational
And
education.
only people have to hire. Oh, wonderful, man! You're making me look really good today. You giving me questions that I'm already trying to address. Thank you very much. Vocational education. Beginning 2023, beginning the school year 2022-2023, every MCSS school will have to add at least 4 vocational and technical education offerings for our
Okay.
students. Every, each one of the 4 schools. Additionally, I'm exploring developing a STEM program at the William V.S. Tottenham High School, wherein we will take the best and brightest from all across the system, put them into 2 pathways: the art pathways, which is more like STEAM,
Mhm.
and the science pathway, which is STEM. In Liberia, we are now doing the art and science
Mhm.
streams. And we
Okay.
take 25, 25, 50
Mhm.
students, and we carry them through a rigorous instruction so that by the time they reach the 11th grade, at the end of the 11th grade year, I want them to be able to take the WASC exam early and passed it. So in the senior year, I want them to be able to access college level courses. That's my aspiration.
So talking about the vocational education part in the MCSS school system, what is the goal here? Is it that you are hoping that, or you want when a student graduates from high school, from the Monroe Consolidated School System, they will have an employable skill? Is that the goal?
No, it's both. Here's what I believe. I
Okay.
believe not every student will go to college. And I
Okay.
believe some students will go to college, but in the process, while they are in college, they might need to do something to sustain themselves. And so when the girls graduate from an MCSS school and maybe is able to do hair, she completes a cosmetology program. She can work in a salon to sustain herself in college.
Mhm.
When a young man graduates from MCSS and is able to do drafting, he can be doing house plans for people while he puts himself into college. Now there will be some of them who it will be a tremendous thing for them. They graduate from MCSS, they have cosmetology skills, they go into the workforce, and they remain in that workforce for the rest of their lives. And we want to make sure we address all of those things. So that's the reason why we are bringing those things.
Well, that is key, and the issue of computer comes in again. If these children, can be trained to get proficient with the internet, some of them can be in Liberia and the telemarketing and all coming in there. So that is a good thing that they can be trained while they're in high school, so that they can get skills that are employable.
You just said something I told my staff.
Mm.
I think there's a website, and I think some of the people online know it, but Fiverr,
Mm.
Fiverr, where
Yeah,
people
yes.
go and sell their talent and skills. And
Mm.
so I've been saying it to my staff. I want some of our MCSS graduates to
Mm.
be able to go over there and sell their skills and talents. And so that's why we're going to improve our technology program. By the way, each and every MCSS student will be taking a course in technology,
Mm.
plus the high school students will have one course in technology, information technology, and then we'll also take an elective. They might choose cosmetology, drafting, accounting, or whatever the case they're going to do. So that's going to be for next school year. We've already put in the things in place to get it started.
Thank you so very much. Again, folks, you are watching Focus on Library. I'm Anthony here hosting. My guest is Professor Zawolo, Superintendent of the Morovia Consolidated School System. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be reading your comments. If you have questions for Professor Zawolo, we will read it and then he will have the opportunity to respond. Stay tuned. All right, folks, we are back with you. And Professor, I'm going to read as many comments as I can. If you can take note, I appreciate that, and you can respond to them. This is Tavina Co. Hello, Professor Zawolo. Good to see you. Let us read this one from Jasco. Thanks for the good work. Carry on at GW Gibson High School. This is from Mr. Logan. I like the phrase, it's biblical to restore the years the locals have eaten. Let's hear from Anthony Gay. Most definitely, the quality of education has significantly diminished. And so this is from Dej Ja. What is the significance of the WIAC exams that they are used, that they use as standards in Liberia? Are we not compromising our national interest? That is something that you have to respond to later. Have those agendas been efficiently supported? What are your targets, deliverables over the next 100 days? Can you please ask him, Mr. Sear? Let's hear from Dr. Pajibo here. He writes, distribution of educational resources can lead to poor quality education, making education, which is a privilege, free at the tertiary level, while basic and secondary education, which are a right, suffer from lack of basic infrastructure and require human resources, is counterproductive, can only be described as populist. In fact, any education which is free but devoid of quality delivery as done with tertiary institutions is not free but a total entrapment that renders graduate as half-baked. I think so. Okay, let us bring in Masale. Government is interested building more market halls than building schools and providing quality education for its citizens. Let us read more comments here from Mayfield Deco. This man will not only be the administrator of the MCSS, he will also be teaching at the universities in Liberia. This job is a little bit below his academic and professional grade. Wow. He might be somebody who knows you. Let's hear from Saba. What is the future of G.W. Gibson being an elementary school, Nipo and Boswen being middle schools according to the original plan? Somebody is going to the original plan there. Let's hear from Mr. Kaz. Question for the professor. Has he reached out to Liberians who have received graduate degrees in the US, etc., who used to teach for MCSS? That is a great question there from him. They hear from James Davis. what is the amount allocated for MCSS school system, because it is a public information. So he need to be truthful. So so the person say you need to tell us exactly the amount. Let's hear from Jimmy Eastman. Besides a college degree, and what other evaluation system will Professor Zawolo use? Sometimes those degrees are not used. Valuable as talented individuals who do not have degree. So that is a key question there. Some people might be brilliant. They may not have the degree. They may have the training to be able to teach. And I saw this is from Anthony Gay. He said, why not www.mcssliberia.edu instead of .org, Professor? So you can take on the question.
Yeah. Let me take on the last one.
Mm-hmm.
That edu is not used for K through 12 education. There's only one K through 12 education establishment in the whole United States that uses edu.
Mm-hmm.
K through 12 education, you don't give them the edu. Okay. So that it's not. Do the research and you can find that out. All right. Mr. Gabe, tell me if I'm wrong. Do the research and check. Just one in the whole United States of America that has that edu on it. So that is not given to edu. We try to use even the LR. There are other things that we try to use, and we are trying to buy them still. We would have loved to use the edu, but that's just not. They don't just give it to us. So we did the research. All right. Yeah. Now there was, I like to, Mrs. C, I like to address, some of the comments, because this is social media, and I think every Liberian, whether you live in the United States or you live in Liberia, you have right to question the work we do and to get answers from us. So the MCSS budget is about, the proposed budget, I think is about $3.8 million or so. We are pushing that budget to about $5.1 million. So I know that's a public information. It's there for you to be able to see. Mr. C also presented it also here today. So let me clear that. I want to also clarify that it's not just one college, and that's correct. About 3.7 million of the budget is used on compensation, and about 80,000 was used for other goods and services that was proposed.
Yeah, for goods and services.
We made it very clear that was unsustainable. We've made it very clear on day one, and we've been getting the support from government to make sure that that was not be what we'll be working with. So we've addressed that. Let me clarify that it's not just the University of Liberia that offers degree. It's not only the Teachers College University of Liberia. There are several colleges in Monrovia and across Liberia that are offering degrees in education, college degree in education. So that idea that colleges are not offering a degree in education is wrong. So let's correct that. Talking about schools that will be elevating. Look, the Boston Junior High School will be elevated to a high school if all things go well, beginning the school year 2022-2023. We are also having discussions about the possibility of reopening the Monrovia Central High School, or possibly elevating the Nico Junior High School to a high school. We're also exploring the possibility of opening the LMA Scarborough, if not, of at least opening a high school for the students who are somewhere on that Oro area. Today it was very interesting. Thank you very much for posting the numbers there. We should almost close to exactly what I just said. Today I had a very interesting meeting with a principal from a Gaytown Elementary and Junior High School. And what she shared with me today brought tears to my eyes. She told me that because of the lack of high school in that area, she's been seeing students who complete her 9th grade class just selling at the market. So they end their education at the 9th grade level. And I was sad to hear that. And I told her, while I'm the superintendent of this school district, I will do everything possible to ensure that we can find means to be able to absorb those students in the high school. So those are some of the things we are doing. We're not making stuff up. I didn't come to sacrifice in Liberia to lead a mediocre system. I came into to share my talents, my skills, my experience to build a better school district. And that's what we are doing here. It has nothing to do with politics or money.
Thank you, Professor. This one is from your dear friend, Matthew Duopo. He wants me the other time, You need to pronounce the name well. Memphis Duopu. Professor Ase Se Lapo Zawolo is a competent leader in the field of education. I hope he succeeds. The man is articulate and fully committed to the job.
Thank you,
This
man. And I wanted to respond to. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to respond to Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, we've bring in a consultant, a very competent consultant in Mr. I would say his name here, Mr. Clyde Wilson. He's been working on revamping our whole HR system. So the degree requirement is just one in the many other requirements we'll be using to hire our teachers. So it's not just going to be you got a degree and so we'll give you a job. There are other things that we're going to be putting in place to be able to select the best and brightest to teach our children.
You want to address Dave Jack question about the wives?
Okay, yeah, Dave, good question.
Yeah, this is
Dave,
what what is the significance of the WAS exam? As a standard for Liberian school, are we not compromising the national interest? Something he said.
No, we're not compromising the national interest. You see, when they develop the WISE exam, there are questions that can be specific to countries. Mm-hmm. So in the WISE exam, they take note of that. But two, we do not have any testing metrics that we can use to evaluate whether we are succeeding as teachers or whether our students are succeeding as students other than the WIAC and the WAS. So that's the only available testing metrics we have. I have my own concerns about WAS and WIAC. Not necessarily that we should get out of them, but I have my concerns about in terms of improving the quality. So, but that's the testing metrics we have right now, and that's what we're going to be using. So one of the things we are doing at the MCSS is that what we've met here, what we cannot change immediately, we are working with it. So in fact, since I took over, for the first time, beginning this school year, MCSS is also going to be introducing its own exams. It will be administering an exam to our 5th graders, to our 8th graders, and to our 11th graders as a means of monitoring. And that exam will be mostly used to monitor teachers and not necessarily the students. But the data we collect from us will help us to improve our instruction at the next level.
Thank you so very much. Now let us come to the final segment of this broadcast, which is your vision and your plan for MCSS. So tell my listening audience, what is your plan? What is your vision? And how do you intend to get there? How long you think it's going to take you to get there?
Well, here's my vision and plan. My vision is to create the most vibrant school district in Liberia that will provide students with quality education that can lead them to careers or higher education and make them more competitive on the global market, in the global marketplace. That's my vision. How long it will take me to fully accomplish my vision, I think time will tell. But I believe that we should begin to see my investments, my programs and policies should begin to bear fruits. After approximately 2 years, we should be able to see some very concrete fruits. We might see some benefits of it earlier than 2 years, but I'm telling you, within 2 years, we should be able to come to MCSS and say, this is not the MCSS I've known in the last couple of years. The MCSS is different. And so those are the things. So what are some of the things we hope to do? I believe that too many Liberian parents are spending too much money on sending their kids to private schools. I want to put that money back into the pockets of the parents and to encourage the parents to bring their students to MCSS schools. So I'm improving monitoring at MCSS schools. I'm improving the supervision at MCSS schools. MCSS had a supervision structure. I restructured the supervision structure of the MCSS under my organization efficiency program. Under my organization efficiency program, MCSS will now be structured into 3 clusters: the Sinker cluster, the Central Moriba cluster, and the Bourgeois Island clusters. Each cluster will have about 2 or 3 supervisors, and then we have tried to introduce content specialist supervisors. These content specialists will be in the area of math, science, English language arts, and social studies. They will be specifically assigned to monitor the delivery of our content in those areas. So they'll be going from school to school, observing teachers, observing lesson plan, looking at long-term programs and strategies on seeing how we can improve teaching and learning in our schools. So those are things that we have to do. And then we talk about, improving the technology, our students' access to technology and making them computer literate. So those are all things that we hope to see, we'll be able to accomplish, and to make and to create at least one vibrant STEM program that will be able to identify some of our brightest students, and not just force them to be, one size fit all, sit in classroom where they are performing far above their peers, but they continue to sit in those classrooms, and they are provided with a mediocre education, and they're not being pushed to their full potential. So we want to create opportunities for that, so the best and the brightest can be pushed to their full potential and gradually can become serviceable to their country. So those are some of the things we hope to do. We want to run an efficient system. So we're going to be proposing to the MCSS Council a new structure for the MCSS. The MCSS right now has one superintendent. I want to propose that we have two superintendents, one for administration and one for instruction. All right, so we're going to be proposing all of those things into the thing. And to tell you the truth, as we share our proposal, more and more people are beginning to admire what we intend to do and are coming on board to join us. We received one application already from a private school wanting to become an MCSS school. That's amazing. A private school wanting to convert itself into an MCSS school. That's one. Another thing we want to do is that we are going to be appealing to the Ministry of Education to take full control of all government schools within the Monrovia area, within the Commonwealth of Monrovia. That is, when you come along Tubman Boulevard from Congo Town over there, coming straight down Central Monrovia, going across the bridge to St. Paul Bridge, all those schools within that vicinity should be controlled by the MCSS. And going along the Japanese freeway, up onto the double bridge, all schools in that area fall within the Commonwealth of Monrovia. We're going to be appealing to the Ministry of Education so that we'll take over those schools so that we can be able to provide good and quality services to those students in this area. We want to increase the population of MCSS schools to 40 to 80,000. We want to save parents from spending money on private schools because MCSS schools has better teachers than most private schools. I don't know whether you know it. Our teachers are qualified than most other private schools. We pay our teachers better than most private schools will pay their teachers. So we want to see our parents to put the trust in us and take our school district to another level.
Thank you so very much, Professor Zawolo. What we also see is that some students leaving the Bozeman area and attending Detour High, and it happens in Central Monrovia too. Is that a problem that people, they should have their free will to choose which MCSS school they prefer to attend?
That's a concern for me. First of all, that's one of the reasons why we have the traffic congestions in Monrovia. That's one of the possible reasons. So there are two things we are doing. We are studying it. You see, you can just come from outside and just impose your will on the people. So there are two things we are studying. One, we are studying to introduce a program of teach where you live and school where you live. So it's not just for the students, also the teachers. I don't want the teachers, and I've been doing it already. I've been convincing some teachers. There's a teacher who living somewhere in Marshall, and he's teaching at Detour. And I'm trying to convince him to come and teach at a school that is nearer to him. So we are looking at not just for the students, but also the teachers. Teach where you live, and for the students, school where you live. Now, we are looking at the data, we are talking to the people, and so that they can advise us on whether this is practical. But I think that's the way forward. And that's why one of the things I was told today, there was a suggestion to me, wherein maybe we have Detour school, maybe focus on one or two elective classes, and then Tubman have focus on another two, and the rest. I said that's a problem. I want it to be must offer the same thing so that it can compel somebody in that area, to go to Detour and not necessarily to come to Tubman High. So those are some of the things that we are working on, and it requires time, but we are in it. By the way, MCSS will be celebrating itself from March 29th to March 31st to the 2nd of April. We'll be showcasing the wonderful works of our students, our teachers, and our staff. And we'll be telling the world of our dreams, our expectations, our aspirations. It will be a big program. We hope to raise $50 million Liberian dollars to be able to use that to improve the laboratory facilities at our schools, to improve our early childhood educational facilities, to get instructional materials, buy more laptop computers, and hold more workshops and training for our staff. We don't want to depend on government for everything. We want to get out there and be able to find resources from other places to be able to do it.
So, Professor, the school has a lot of needs, and there are Liberians listening now. Liberians will listen later. Friends of Liberia will also listen. In what areas you think any Liberian, any friend of Liberia can help uh, the MCSS school system as a contribution to see Liberia produce the best and brightest so that our country can be strong?
I would say every area. Look, there's a lady who just came from, I think, the Liberian Public School Project. She just came from
Mhm,
the York, Pennsylvania area. She
mhm,
came in here and she distributed books, clothing, computers, and the rest of it to our schools.
mhm.
MCSS worked with her fully to make sure her distribution was carried out, to the way she wanted to do it, provided all the logistical support we needed. We are
I
looking
think
for
that's
people like
Orita,
those.
right?
Yeah, Orita Paleto.
Yeah.
That's correct.
That-
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, yeah. She spent a lot of time with me here in my office. I think she's right now in Grand Coulee, or she should be back. When she comes back, she intends to visit me again.
She
And
stay in Southtown. We are from the same
that's
town, by the way.
I know. Very, very nice woman. So we are looking for people like those. We are looking for people to come here and offer training, whether it's math, English, science, social studies. If you have the skills, you have the talents, you are coming, you let me know. I'll be able to create the facilities and give you the teachers that you can help and train. We're interested in people donating technology equipment. All right, we're interested in people coming and adopting one of our school laboratories and laboratories and say, look, I'll be responsible to help you, furnish this laboratory and maybe buy supplies for a certain period of time. We're interested in people giving donations in any kind. Very soon, when I revisit the United States, I will be identifying individuals in key states in the United States who will be responsible for
Mhm.
collecting, material donations from people, materials, things that they want to give to us that we can bring in, and then we'll provide the funding to be able to transport those things to Liberia, to the US, to Liberia. So yeah, we are looking for any kind of help, any kind of help. I'm looking for help in ideas. I don't know everything. Bring your
And
ideas
Professor,
to me.
talking about
Try it.
help and ideas, right? You can talk or do something like Memorial Consolidated School Teachers Partnership Program. For example, I know a guy called Cisse Goya. He's a math guy,
Mhm.
and so I'm sure that
Yeah,
somebody you might know too. So
yeah,
a guy like that, he teaches here in the US.
yeah. Hmm.
Maybe he can be a friend to one of your math teachers on the ground
Yeah.
where he can share materials, how the math problems are solved, share instructional materials with him, and
Mhm.
that will help. And in fact, people who are teaching here through internet or technology, they can teach in the classroom. You can sell a computer right there in the class, and somebody from here can teach them something. I think that's another area you can
And
look
we
into.
want that. We've already we want that. I'm working with Ansumana Japate. He has a
Mhm,
program that is run by an American professor. He's teaching
mhm.
teachers here in Liberia. I'll be giving
Yeah.
some of my math people here to work with them. People that
Mhm,
says go ahead and can come here and offer can stay right over there and offer similar services. Besides that, I'm working with two professors within the Californian area to be able to launch early childhood education program from the United States. So what we're trying to do here is to negotiate which college here in Liberia we want to adopt that program so it can be like a degree or certificate granting institution.
mhm,
Because getting it done in the United States will require like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years to have those colleges and university approve of those programs with the
mhm.
bureaucracy. But I'm trying to see if I can find colleges locally that we allow for those things to happen. So yeah, we are thinking outside the box and trying to get this thing done. Mr. C, let me correct people here. When they say here that a country doesn't have electricity, so you don't have those things. Look, Nigerians are innovative people. People are using generators. People are using solar energy to be able to provide for those things. One of our visions, and one of the things I've told my staff that I want to be engaging our foreign partners to help me with, is to put solar panel at each MCSS school. But for now, most of our schools have electricity, either through the LEC or they have their standby generators. So we're in Monrovia, sir. With people who come up with these criticisms, it's good you can criticize your country. Liberia is not what it used to be before. We agree. We've gone back in so many areas, but we're making progress. And there's electricity in Monrovia. There's internet. You're speaking with me from an MCSS facility. So there has to be electricity. So stop this stuff about no electricity. You're talking about internet. Our schools have internet, some of them. And I want all of them to have it. So stop fantasizing. Come, visit me. Take you on a tour of our school so you can see that what we are doing. I'll put you in our car, I'll put you in a bus, and we'll take you around.
And I was about to ask on transportation for teachers. Is that
Mhm.
something you're looking into, or it should be like the U.S. here? Teachers should be responsible for their own transportation. What are
No,
the amenities for teachers? Because they are doing bulk of the job. They need to be motivated. They need to be encouraged.
yeah, we started step by step. Right
Okay.
now, we have some buses here, and
Mhm.
so in the meantime, I'm commissioning 2 buses that will be used to transport central office staff to and from
Mhm.
and from home. And what I've learned in the past is that some of the teachers from William V. Tottenham High School, because they are nearby central office, they also take advantage of that. So that's the
Mhm.
first thing. So the next phase is that we want to make sure that teachers work where they live. First of all, to cut down the amount of money they are spending on transportation so they can have more money to take care of the family. That's one thing I've been telling the teachers. That's why I want to do it. The second thing is that we are asking our partners and all those people to help us with additional buses so we can be able to transport our teachers to school. I'm also looking for resources. I'll be coming to the States to ask for used cars, donation. I want each one of my principals to have a car. It doesn't have to be a brand new car. I want my principal to stay late in the evening to be able to compile reports for me, to be able to review. Because I want us to be intentional as we lead the MCSS. We should not lead the MCSS on hearsay. My monitoring evaluation people was yesterday with me today, and I gave them a whole slew of work to go and do. The first marking period is over. I want to know class by class how many students are passing in one, how many students are failing in one subject, 2 subjects, or more than 2 subjects, and what are those subjects? Who are the teachers teaching those subjects? So the principals and the vice principal will have to stay a little late. So I don't want them leaving work and then they have to look for pen pen or keke. So I'm appealing to people out there looking for used car. Donate your used car to the MCSS. If you have it in the States and you want to donate it to us, let us know. We'll find people who can pick it up from you and then send it to Liberia, and our teachers will be able to use. So we are looking for all of those things. We're trying to, step it up.
Transportation
We're
for
asking for.
students too. Is that something you think is necessary that you might be looking into or thinking about?
I was thinking about that, but I think that is it's a little tricky. So we want the students to go to school where they live and reduce the distance so they can be able to walk to school. And walking to school has a very important part to it. They can have the opportunity to share with their friends, socialize, and learn more about the country, learn more about each other, and then they
You,
can
you can
promote
you
peace.
can they can socialize on the school bus too, Professor.
But they also socialize walking and know the streets better.
All right. Finally, we have to take a look of you. The video I played earlier when you were taking over, I like politics, so I try to bring small little politics at the end of this very good discussion we had today. You thank President Weah, you thank Samuel Twe, you thank Piso Sedita, you thank Jefferson Koji, you thank Janga Ko, and you passionately thank those people. Why was that necessary? Did these people thank you, Professor, when they were appointed by President Weah? Did President Weah thank you when he got elected? You worked so hard to make this government. I want to know, I'm just curious because the way you thanked them, it was so powerful. Why you felt the
And
need
I
to
hope
do so? Did they do
I hope
that? They were appointed, did they thank you for which you felt that you needed to do so?
yeah, I'll tell this to you.
Mhm.
Um, the leadership of the CDC, including the President we are, have been extremely grateful and thankful and appreciative of my work and contribution to the CDC. There has
Okay.
not been a single day that they have stopped thanking me and appreciating me for that. Now, let me make a public disclosure here. The
Okay.
position that I was appointed to, President Weah would have appointed me to that position in 2018. And Mr. C, you know about that.
I do.
Yes. So they were grateful to me. They have been always appreciative. And they always told me that, this was it. So I gotta be thankful to people, we work together and I show them the appreciation. And yes, they've been very thankful. They've been so wonderful to me since I arrived here. Yeah, they're giving me every help that I need. They made my landing so easy. They made the transition so seamless, and they just been so helpful. And I have to be grateful. I was raised by my parents to give honor to whom it is due, to appreciate everyone who does, even the smallest, the tiniest thing for me. And that's what I was doing. And I appreciate it. And I show they've shown me appreciation for the work that I did. Mrs. here, yeah, they did. Let's be fair. I understand there have been, misunderstanding up there about why some of us was not in government earlier than people expected us to be. But to everything is a season
And
and
that's
a
the time.
time.
And this is your
And I think
time.
now is the time. Now is the time, and the MCSS is rising. And so I think I'm thankful to God that He made it happen this time. I don't even know what I was ready in 2018 to come. By the way, here's the thing.
Professor.
Let me say this last thing to you, which is profound.
Mhm.
I don't
Right.
profess my faith. I don't profess my faith publicly.
Mhm.
At least some people believe I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God because I take it personal. But let me tell you something. I pray to God every day that God sent me to Liberia at the time you think I'll be ready and the time you think it will be best for me to serve. Do not send me early and do not send me late. And I think He answered my prayer. And I'm thankful to everyone, you and every other person who called me and asked me whenever you heard something. I'm thankful to all of you for standing by me, and I'm grateful that I have this opportunity to be leading in this position that I'm doing, and I'm enjoying it because we think we are doing a wonderful job. And you can come to MCSS and ask the people; they will share with you that they think we are doing a wonderful job. There's smiles on the faces of the people here at MCSS. The teachers are happy; they are being paid on time. The students are happy. I'm addressing their problem. We are working together, and so I think that we're doing a fabulous job, and I'm enjoying it. And I thank the president for making that good decision to bring me on board.
Thank you, Professor. And we can keep going on, but time is our enemy. I think we had a very good discussion here. But finally, here, uh, what would be your parting words to Liberians listening to you concerning the Morovia Consolidated School System?
Look, let me say this. Let me say the parting words. MCSS is on the positive trajectory. I want Liberians to give us a chance, and I want them to stand with us and support us. Let's push politics aside. Let's look at this as a mission. When MCSS does well, it will begin to plant the seeds that will be able to germinate and spread all across Liberia. And then when you retire and I retire, one day we'll be able to come and live in Liberia safely because we'll have the trained nurses, the doctors, social workers, and the rest of the people, the professionals who need to care for us. Let's embrace this thing. Let's support our schools and let's take politics of it. Let's work together. I'm open to ideas and suggestions. You can send an email to me at Zawolo at mcssliberia.org, or you can use it to my isaac.zawolo at gmail.com. Send me your suggestion, share with me your ideas. I want to hear and learn from people to make MCSS the best it can possibly be. I have no monopoly over ideas, and I will appreciate the contribution of every Liberian to making my job easier, helping make me look good. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, we are at the end. But before we take leave of you, may I advertise that today our program, Tough Talking Thursday, always hosted by my partner Dennis Jar, comes on at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and you do not want to miss it. Their topic: unprecedented moves by President Weah to urge his name in the annals of history. You want to hear that? Khan, the best panel in the world, will be comfortably seated. Mr. Wilmon Cooney, focus on Liberia chief political analyst. He is a supporter of President Weah. Jerome Gilman, he also a supporter of President Weah. Carl Famula, focus on Liberia policy analyst. Mohammed Sherry, focus on Liberia political analyst. And George Preston Lobo, a supporter of GMB, will be here. They will be looking into the unprecedented moves President Weah has made since taking over. For example, dual citizenship, trying to reduce presidential term, and term for all elected positions in Liberia. Some of those things, you don't want to miss it. And tomorrow, on the Hour of Politics, I am going big. I'm going after the Unity Party. Joseph Boakai and the Unity Party announced a departure in a press statement that I consider empty. You want to hear my analysis tomorrow? Be here at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on the Hour of Politics. I have done my research. I have crossed my T and dotted my I's. It will be informative and biting politically. You do not want to miss it tomorrow, Friday, here at Focus on Liberia on the Hour of Politics. Professor, my friend, my big brother, I'm proud of you for the work you are doing in Liberia. Make me proud. Make every Liberian proud. May your friends proud. May your family proud, because we trust you that if there will be one person who will deliver in this government, that got to be, as I say, like what Zawolo, and I will not accept failure. Go.
Let me do the last thing. Let me do the last thing so the distractor can feedback.
All right. Is that the barrier?
That's it, man. So that the people out there talk that. No, it's a joke, people. Yeah, but you know I'm a citizen, so I still gotta have my barrier there, okay?
Yeah. Well, folks, that is how we will draw down the curtains. Well, the Professor just showed his burial, telling you that he's a proud citizen. I don't know why some people get so mad when people identify with their political institution. I mean, what is that? You know, if you, I mean, don't be mad. I'm not mad. I'm not a member of any political party. Maybe some of you don't know. I was part of CDC. I left, and I don't see any reason to be part of any political party. I've chosen a path to be here to ask the questions. I think that is a contribution I can make. Professor, thank you, and please serve well. So, folks, the song that says we are all Liberians is taking us home. Bye-bye. This evening.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.